So let's go on to another big matchup. I was so upset they were playing at the same time because this was another great game. Washington and USC. Uh, I don't think USC. I mean, they're not out of the Pac-12 yet. They have Oregon. I think that if they beat Oregon next week, then they control their own destiny still. So there's still a lot to play for at
Mhm.
USC. But Washington, I mean, that offense. They if they can run the ball like this all of a sudden, I mean,
Mhm.
how do you stop them?
Yeah, I think they had 250 yards rushing their running back had, which was
Yeah,
unbelievable. I'm blanking on his name right now, but that was incredible. They looked good. Granted, USC's defense is just pure Swiss cheese, so it's not really anything to hang your hat on. But you can't really complain about 250 yards rushing from your running back. But yeah, both evening games on at the same time. I had them on
same
two different.
time.
I have on two TVs, and both overs hit in the third quarter, which was out of control. And it was just super fun to watch. But no, like you said, USC's technically not dead. I mean, it would take a miracle for in my mind for USC to still really, win the Pac-12. An actual miracle. I don't see that happening. I don't see them beating Oregon. Um, and then weirdly one of the big storylines that came out of this was Caleb Williams getting emotional on the sideline after the game and people trying to make a hot take about it. I don't really understand that. I mean, let the kid play and be emotional. He's an emotional guy. He, wears his emotions on his sleeve and plays with a lot of heart. So I don't know. People trying to pick him apart because he's the Heisman Trophy,
Yeah.
returning Heisman Trophy candidate or winner, and the consensus number one overall pick in the draft so far. So I don't love people trying to rip him apart, but I do think USC is not looking great this season, and I don't really love their perspective moving forward, to be honest, either. Because where do you really go from here? I mean, you had their defensive coordinator getting fired, and they just look awful, on defense, and their offense is kind of all centered around Caleb Williams, and you can hide a lot of stuff when Caleb Williams is your quarterback and just kind of scrambling around. So I'm really, really interested to see where they go from here.
Yeah, it's with the defense, I mean, it's so like you hate seeing somebody get fired,
Mm.
like somebody lose their job, especially like think around him and Alex Grinch. They're really close friends. So I know that was tough for him. But Washington hasn't been able to run the ball all season, you know. Like you just can't let Dylan Johnson get 250 yards. That's inexcusable.
Yeah.
Look at and like I think he had over 150 yards before contact. So that's not like missed tackles. That's like that's scheme. That's your
That's scheme.
you're not lining people. You're not putting players in the right position. It'd be different if they were just missing tackles, right? Because Alex
Mm-hmm.
Grinch isn't out there tackling. But there's no reason. You gotta figure that out. For USC Caleb Williams, I mean, it's been like this all season. It's the on
Mm-hmm.
offense, it's just the Caleb Williams show. It's can he get out of the pockets, scramble drill,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a lot of stuff is I mean, they're gonna score because of that, right? They have that much talent, but they just have to score every drive against these
Yeah,
teams.
and just trying to pick him apart. I'm excited to do some analysis like when the draft comes around. Obviously, he's going to be the biggest focus on the
Mhm.
draft at the top of that quarterback class. But it just seems like he's holding onto the ball for a long time, and I can't really tell if it's because just no one's open or he's just not reading the defense the way he should be, or if he's just trying to be hero every single play. And a lot of times it comes out that he's the hero, in every play, but you can't really bank on that. And I think especially when I think he thinks he has to be the hero because their defense just actually can't stop anybody. So if he goes back to the sidelines and just watches Arizona State put up 40 points and Colorado put up 40 points and Arizona put up 40 points, when he sees Michael Penix Jr. coming out, he's like, I have to be a hero every single
Yeah,
play. So yeah, I don't know. I can't really tell who to blame on that, but I mean we'll see. But no, I think
I
USC's
think
playoff hopes are all but dashed at this point.
I think that's just how Lincoln Riley likes his quarterbacks. Like
Yeah,
just
kind
that
of.
profile. Like Kyler Murray, that's what Kyler Murray did. That's what Baker did. Jalen
Yeah, I was
Hurts.
gonna say.
That's just, I mean, that's his style. He
Mhm.
likes it, and it works because they score a lot of points because that's really hard to scheme up with, right? How do you scheme? You can try and keep the quarterback in the pocket, but somebody as athletic as these guys is,
Yeah, and how your corner is going to hold protection or hold coverage for 8 seconds when he's
mm-hmm.
scrambling around the backfield. It's absurd. Like he holds onto the ball for like 6 seconds, and it's college corners. It's not the NFL. Like you can't expect them to be 30 yards downfield at someone's hip. So and he does have awesome USC has awesome talent on the outside every single year. So one of them's going to get open. He's going to scramble and find them. Lincoln Riley, I think he just gets excited for those extended plays, and that's kind of what he lives for too, like you said.
Yeah. So going back to this defensive corner, I have a question. Do you think that the Alex Grinch firing came too late for Lincoln Riley, or is he still in the hot seat? You think he gets?
I I think Lincoln Riley is a little bit on the hot seat, but I don't think anything's going to happen before the end of next year. I think they're going to see how his recruiting class turns out, what their answer is on offense. He has, this is kind of a little bit of a, push someone off the plank to blame for the defense. If their defense turns around a little bit, but if they turn around next year and they have a 6-win season or less, like it's gonna get real rocky real fast. And I could see that happening, honestly. The Pac-12, I know they're kind of, you know, dispersing or whatever, and they're moving to the Big Ten. And I'm not entirely positive what their schedule looks like. I know they were just releasing schedules, but it's going to get real rocky real fast if he puts up some clunkers against some Big Ten teams like as the winter turns around in
I
the
can't imagine
Northeast
you
or
let
the North.
Iowa get 30.
Yeah,
Could you
right.
imagine?
Oh my god.
That would be it. But this is interesting for me. This firing is, I don't want to dwell on too long. I thought Lincoln Riley was destined for the NFL, right? I think if you're
Mhm.
going to the NFL, you don't make a staff change. So this kind of tells me that
He's
he's
planning to
there.
stay.
He's planning to stay
Mm.
for a couple more years because you're not going to fire, make a whole staff change, especially a friend, and then just leave a
Yeah,
couple
no,
months
I,
later.
I I agree with that. And I also don't weirdly know if his game or his coaching style translates to the NFL. It feels like it does feel like a Big 12 style that he kind of just took to the Pac 12. I don't really know how it fits in with the Big 10. So we'll kind of see, how it fits in when he gets there. But I think he's pretty happy with where he's at. He knows he has a great recruiting pool. I mean, it's having Caleb Williams out there was fantastic for them to be able to try and pull in recruits. But we'll see. We'll see how he does. As next year rolls around.
Well, let's talk about the winners a little bit. Do you think this win pushes Washington into the top four?
Uh I don't necessarily think so. I just think that there's no movement at the top four. I do think Washington is uh is a really good football team. I think they'll eventually get there because you're going to have, Ohio State and Michigan kind of duke it out in 3 weeks or whatever it is, but I don't really see any actual jumping because again, I think USC, I think they were ranked 23 coming to this game in the actual college football playoff, but they were on a skid and very clearly winning some real tightrope games coming into this game. So it didn't really look good for USC going into this game. So I don't think this win carries the same weight as it did if USC was, a undefeated team going into this and they were a top 15 team. So I would say no. I do see Washington if they could pull out, a Pac-12 championship being in the top four at the end of the year, but not for this playoff.